guys, we're going to be talking about how to conquer challenging coursework with dyslexia. I am Crystal Steele. I'm the high school dyslexia specialist and I'm a reading specialist with the state. I'm also a veteran of 14 years in the classroom, and I have my own struggles with orthographic processing and rapid naming, as well as organization of written expression. So we want to talk about advancing your post-secondary goals. A lot of us start planning early, especially when we know it takes us a little bit more time to get things the way we want and to complete the things we want to do. What we need to know and what everybody needs to understand is that one size doesn't fit all, and we actually plan for the individual. Educational planning extends beyond your ARD meeting or your 504 meetings with your post-secondary goals. You need to be thinking about how the classes you're taking now affect you later. If you need and want challenging coursework because it fits into your plan for after high school, then absolutely pursue it. If you are planning on taking traditional college pathways so that when you graduate you're going to take your freshman and sophomore level courses, now is a time where you could experiment with electives or your endorsement or getting certifications in areas that might provide you with a job while you're going to school. So you have to think about what you want from your college classes, not just the experience, but like you're planning all along the way. When we talk about accessing advanced courses, the challenge with dyslexia, you need to know that you're not going to give up your related services and aids that have been designed to meet your needs so that you have a full and appropriate education, so you have the access you need, whether it's an on-level class or an accelerated class or program. With that in mind, though, we do want to talk about the difference between accommodations and modifications. Accommodations provide equitable access and equitable ability to share what you know, what you can do, and how well you can do it. They do not change what you're expected to do or the level at which you're expected to do it. It's to ensure equal access to the full school experience. Modifications, however, will change the curriculum content, the expectation of tasks to be performed, or the kinds of or level of assessments. Fundamentally, it is a change in the curriculum content and because of what the student needs. For example, let's say because of your learning ability and your evaluation, it has shown us at what level you need to work on so that you can move to the next level in your performance. And that level may not be at grade level. Let's say you need to access content and materials at a 5th grade level and you're working on TEKS that are at the 7th grade level so that you can move from the 7th grade TEKS into the 8th grade TEKS on math. You might be in a modified or an individualized class where you're in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, but you're working on skills that would traditionally be seen in 7th grade or lower classes. That's a modification. That is not the same thing as an accommodation. Now, when we talk about the related aids and services, you need to know that not only do we, but also the Texas Dyslexia Handbook, the International Dyslexia Association, and the Office of Civil Rights all agree that accommodations need to be matched to the individual student's educational needs, ensuring that the student has equitable access to their curriculum and learning and the ability to demonstrate their mastery. So we cannot just say everyone's getting extended time unless they actually need the extended time. For some students, knowing that they have to wait until stuff is done, they don't want to have more time to think about it. Other kids need that time because they're reading it, they're processing it, they're going back and forth. So no two students, even students with dyslexia, are the same. When we talk about related aids and services, we're talking specifically for here about accommodations, and there's 4 primary categories of accommodations. The first one would be presentation accommodations. You might need materials in an alternative way. For example, you might not benefit from getting a paper hard copy of what you're supposed to read or make notes over in class. You might need to have an audiobook, or you might need to have it be interactive to where you can hover over words and have individual words simplified, or to have the definition, or to have individual words read aloud. Response accommodations is how you show what you know in classes. So you might need alternative assignments. You might need alternative assessments, or a different way to be able to show what you can do and what you know. For example, if everybody in the class is writing an essay, you might be better served to record your essay, or to record a video of you presenting your essay. It might be better for you, instead of copying out notes, to record your notes, or to type in fill in the blank notes. Same expectation that you're participating, same information to be shared, and the level of mastery to be shown, but it just works with the way you can manipulate the materials. Setting accommodations has to do with location, such as you might take a test in small group, you might take it individually, you might take it with your teacher, you might need to come down and take it in my office because you need access to the computers. It depends on the situation and the individual student need. We also need to talk later about testing accommodations for advanced programming, having to do with college assessments or college board-based assessments. Timing and scheduling accommodations. So you might need 50% extra time to do a test. You might need the ability to take an assignment home and work on it overnight or over 2 nights to be able to turn things in and feel like you've done what you need to do. You might need to split your SAT test over 2 days so you don't get overly fatigued. You need to remember each pathway has its own map. So you're going to want to take everything in that I'm saying, but you're also going to want to check the counselor and look at the student handbook. There are basically these questions. If you are a student in general who would not qualify for an advanced program, then you won't qualify just because you have dyslexia. However, if you meet the same eligibility requirements as any other student, and the accommodations that you have do not fundamentally change the course or the level of learning expectations, then you qualify to take the class. Those 5 pathways I was talking about. The first one would be pre-AP or AP or honors classes. Collegiate high school, which is for juniors and seniors. Dual credit college classes, which can start your sophomore year if you qualify, or you can wait and take them your junior or senior year. Dual credit workforce programs for juniors and seniors, and typically those are specifically blocked, so you really want to look into those early. And then of course we've got on-ramps dual credit for juniors and or seniors who don't meet the traditional dual credit program requirements. So we talk about pre-AP and honors and collegiate high school. They each have their own expectations. So even if you have dyslexia or another learning disability, but you meet the requirements, you qualify to enroll in the class. This is where you need to talk to your counselor, your parents, and either your ARD team or your 504 team. Same thing for dual credit workforce, and on campus. They each have individual requirements and expectations. Whether it's GPA, attendance, behavior, your TSI scores, your SAT scores, or certain projects that you were expected to do to show your skills, you want to check off your list and you want to do it ahead of time. So let's talk about seeing and conquering content. There are some things you can do to make yourself more successful. Remove distractions from your study area, create a comfortable, relaxing area to study. That does not mean blast rap, even though rap makes you feel calm, because it's going to interfere with your processing of information. Maybe some classical music or some music that has had the lyrics taken out. Set small goals for yourself and reward yourself when you complete them. Now that does not mean I set the goal for 5 minutes, now I'm going to go watch 45 minutes of TV or Netflix. Not the same. Keep an agenda or planner and check it off as you finish. This does not matter how you keep it. If you keep a cell phone on you and you want to send yourself text messages or a task, you want to put things on your calendar, you have a paper planner, or you keep sticky notes on your dashboard of your car, it doesn't matter where or how, it just matters that you do it. Work ahead. You're either going to be pre-reading materials and preparing your notes and getting a chance to work so that when you enter the class, you have the background, or you have your questions already kind of stewing in your mind so that when you get to that material, you're not processing it after the fact. Use a phonetic dictionary to sound out words. It's going to sound silly, but remembering and making those content words for your class sight words almost, so that you don't have to think about how to process them, is going to take some of that pressure off of your processing of the content. You can, through accommodations, have access to your peers' notes or your instructor's notes or fill-in-the-blank notes or graphic organized notes or image-based notes. You can use a peer notes, oh, I repeated that twice, I'm fun. If you have dyslexia and are borrowing notes, rewrite them in your own handwriting as a memorization strategy, or, this is my suggestion, dictate them and using a speech-to-text or some other app so that you can hear yourself speaking it back, you hear yourself as you're recording it, and you can play it back again later as a method for studying. And you can check and see, did you leave anything out? Did you drop things? Did it make sense? You could even try reorganizing it. So if it's cause and effect or linear notes, you could try changing the organization or the structure to help you manipulate the information itself. Turn your written notes into pictures or diagrams to make them easier to remember. Remember to check on campus for a study skills group for support. Dialogic thinking is a skill that even adults do not master, that ability to argue with yourself and see the holes in your thinking, your logic. Having other people to work with is beneficial. Practice brain drills or warm-ups before a study session, or we call it brain dumping, where you write down those key concepts that you know you needed to recall. It helps with frustration, it helps with anxiety, and it helps with recall to be able to pull up those things. It helps work through any rapid naming issues you might have. And remember, you're either working beforehand or you're working behind. If we need extra time to process, it's got to come from somewhere. That's where getting your notes ahead of time, reading ahead, and being prepared for what you're about to walk into matters. So let's talk about testing for credit mastery. If you're in an advanced program, somewhere there's going to be some sort of assessment to prove what you've gained from the class. That means you also need to realize that advanced classes have a timeline of content they have to have presented and mastered leading up to whatever that test is. That's why they don't drop things and they can't modify the content, because there are certain things that build into it. But when it comes to testing and assessment, teachers and professors will follow the decisions made by a college board and or your college office for students with disabilities, based on the documents and requests submitted by the student. I underline that because the college is not going to want to talk to the parents. They will happily accept our money, but they're going to want to talk to the student about their needs, their accommodations, their performance, whether or not they need to take the TSI, whether or not they need to come in and do tests in the lab. They want to talk to the child because the child is going to be the individual taking the classes. After the forms are completed and any tests or procedures or accommodations, we will be given that information. So I know that we do ASVAB, we do SAT, we do PSAT, and we do some of the certification tests here on campus. If we're doing those tests on campus here at DHS, we're being given what we can do, who's doing it, and how they're doing it. So it comes in a box. Our testing coordinator takes everything out, gets the materials ready. So those accommodations come from College Board, and it can take 7 weeks for accommodations that are requested to be passed down the line to where we know about them when we're giving the test. So we have to plan ahead. So there are resources for testing and accommodations. Some students with documented disabilities are eligible for accommodations on College Board exams. Students cannot take the SAT subject test, PSAT, PSAT 10, or AP exams with accommodations unless their request for accommodations has been approved by Services for Students with Disabilities through College Board. In general, students approved by SSD for College Board testing accommodations meet the criteria discussed below. They have a documented disability. You want to make sure that's on your ARD or 504 paperwork. Participation in a College Board exam is impacted. Requested accommodation is needed, not something they do sometimes, but they've shown they use it in their tests and in their classes to have equitable access. And it's received on traditional school tests when they're in traditional classroom environment. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to the accommodations at collegeboard.org/forms, and you can visit that. This is what it'll look like. You want to click on the form and it'll pop up. There is Spanish accommodations, and there are some topics that you can look into that will be helpful. This is what the form will look like. You can either turn it in directly to them, or you can send it up to the counselor, and we will make sure it gets submitted to them. When it comes to COM, you want to visit the Students Services Office. You're going to want to talk to Holly Bankston about submitting those key pieces of information to receive your accommodations, whether it's on the TSI or during your dual credit or workforce classes. If you got any questions, we're here. I'm Crystal Steele. I'm available at dickinsonisd.org. Give me a call to 812-229-6598, or feel free to contact Miss Haley Jackson, College and Career Center Counselor. She can be available at extension 6429, or you can give her an email. I've listed the College and Career Center website as well as the Counseling Center's website. I look forward to hearing your comments. Thanks. Bye.